What's going on, faithful? The NFL Combine is underway, and I got Mo's Nose in the building, and we gonna talk about it. We got to talk about John Lynch. Did he drop some nuggets at the Combine? Let's get to it right after this. Make sure you smash that like button. What's going on, 49er faithful? It's your boy, the Wayne Breezy. I got my man, Mo's Nose, in the building, live and kicking it on the Wayne Breezy Show. Mo's, what's going on? It's been a long time since I left you without a dope beat to step to. What's going on, bro?
Hey, man, I'm doing good, man. I can't complain about anything. It's been a minute. I think I'm in a position where everything now is straight. And so, I thought I was in that position sometime last year, but I'm really in that position now. So it's always good to be back with you, brother. I love you. It's always good to be back with the Breezy's bunch and my faithful fam, my sister Peachy in the building. I missed y'all, man, and I'm just happy to be back and get back into the swing of things.
It's good to have you back. It's good to get your takes. It's good to see you. You're just a blessing, man, and I appreciate you, man. You and the family, Boats, Oscar, Peachy, Felicia, all the Breezy Bunch member crews that's in here, man. Tanisha's in the building. Shout out to you guys. Thanks for being faithful, tuning in to this show. We truly appreciate it. Mo's, the NFL Combine is officially about to be underway now. I believe yesterday the kickers and all that stuff, they kind of went, they did their thing. We definitely not looking for a kicker. Are we looking for you? I mean, wait a minute. I gotta ask.
Back like I never left. We all still on the same page, bro. I love it. Are we sure we're not looking for one?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't want to address it in the draft. That doesn't mean I'm not gonna look, but I don't want to address it in the draft. Now, John Lynch did speak, and he did say that they have faith in Jake Moody. They believe the injury that he sustained was the big cause of the issue of him with the confidence, missing the kicks, all that good stuff. I want to get your take on that because we're going to talk a lot about what John Lynch had to say on today's episode.
Listen, I mean, from the kicker standpoint and what he said about Jake Moody, honestly, bro, I wish I was a player in the NFL and I was on the 49ers because they seem to have a long leash with, certain players. I think certain players who should be gone, who shouldn't get additional opportunities. If they spend the investment in you, whether it be dollars in free agency or whether it be a draft pick, they're going to exhaust all efforts to try to get the best possible product from you and give you multiple opportunities to do so. And if they think that the injury is what hindered him, then I'm okay with that as well, if that's their thought process. I think one of the things that I'm worried about, if the injury was that significant to his mental psyche, how is he going to handle that? Because NFL players, we know they play injured all the time. And, the great ones are still able to play at a high enough level through injury. So it's yet to be seen. But, if the organization is willing to give him another shot, so am I.
I think that's a good point, though, right? Because if you look at the injury happened after trying to make a tackle, something he's never done in his career. And since you said, will this injury kind of attest to his psyche? Now you're talking about a player that might have some type of PTSD, when going out there on the football field. Was that a part? There's a lot of things to look into it because, coming out of college, he was a very high accurate kicker. I mean, he did not miss. Rarely did he miss. And and so you could tell when he was kicking for the Niners, it was weird. It was all mechanical. It was either far to the left, far to the right. And you could tell he was trying to adjust, right? And then he would overcompensate, and then it would go far to the opposite way. This is what I'm hoping as far as the kicking situation. I'm hoping that they bring in competition, and that gets into his psyche a little bit. Because sometimes you just need to be challenged.
Yeah, for sure. I think, thinking your job is safe and knowing your job is safe are two different things. And when there's someone actively there pressing for your spot, I would think naturally anybody in a professional league, that would spark your competitive nature. So maybe that is something that he needs to say, okay, maybe my spot isn't solidified. Let me lock in. Let me make sure my mental is right. Let me make sure my leg is right. Let me make sure I'm not overcompensating and I get my accuracy down. And I can make sure that I make kicks, as they come up. So a little competition never hurt nobody.
I agree with that 1000%. Felicia says, hopefully, with a fresh season, his mental and his foot is right again. Yeah, hopefully with a fresh season. And like Mo said, when the Niners invest in a pick, especially in that third round, they kind of give you ample opportunities. I'm going to ask Mose this question. He didn't know this question was going to come, but I'm going to ask him. Third round pick, same draft. The 49ers drafted two players. They drafted Jair Brown, which they traded up to go get. And then with the compensatory pick, they drafted Jake Moody. Like, which player do you feel more confident in going into this next upcoming season? Because Jair Brown had... Yeah. See, people think I'm stupid, and I'm far from it. Yeah, Jair Brown had a down season.
He did.
And it never got better. At least Jake Moody started off hot, and then he had an injury, and then it kind of went down. So I'm curious to know, being Penn State, Jersey, Jair Brown, and I love him.
Yeah,
I love him.
I mean, I love him too, and you definitely got me with that question. I didn't know it was coming, and as a Jersey guy, as a PA guy, Jair Brown is right up the road in Trenton, so it's tough to say. But I think here's what worries me about Jair. Yes, he did have a down year, and I think the reason that he had a down year was because of the loss of Talanoa.
Ooh.
And the inconsistency of Talanoa. Now, Talanoa's health, we think with the offseason he should be back. But now there's this also impending free agency. And are we going to re-sign him? And so you hear players being scheme fits and fits in good systems, but you also have to factor in the camaraderie and the chemistry. I think Jair played well because he learned from Huff. He was able to play well with Huff. They bounced well off of each other. Huff going down with the injury. He had the momentum from his rookie season, but then he kind of took a sophomore slump because he didn't have his big brother there on the field. It's one thing to have him on the sideline and getting coached up on the sideline, but actually being in the line of fire together is something completely different.
Okay.
And then you bring in competition. You bring in a young guy like Malik Mustafa, who is off the chart. Everybody across the league. It's like I remember the clip when Deebo was on Amon-Ra St. Brown's podcast, and he was like, "Yo, number 6 on your team, dude is like he didn't even know his name, but he was like, he's a missile." So you got people around the league talking about a rookie, and so that again, we talked about mental, we talked about psyche. Maybe that Jair took a hit, sophomore slump. He don't got Huff around. Now you got this young kid coming in that's lighting the league on fire. So I would say I'm more concerned about Jake Moody still because he affects putting points on the board.
Good point.
There's a if it's a 3.2.1 point game and it's a difference between tying the game and going into overtime or winning the game, that missed kick could be the difference between a win or a loss. So I'm more concerned about Jake Moody because he actually affects points, but both are a cause for concern.
I agree with that. When you're talking about Jake Moody, he's got to make those kicks. When you're talking about Jair Brown, it's one thing to miss a tackle, give up a big explosive play, but I feel like it's a little easier for defensive players to kind of like bounce back. Oh, I missed that tackle. I took a poor angle. All right, I'll get it the next time. I see how they, you know what I'm saying? I feel like it'll be a little bit easier to adjust. It just seemed like I felt like Jair Brown kind of just went down the slope like at a pace, and Jake Moody went up and then went down like hard, like real quick. So I kind of agree with that. It's just funny because they're former third round picks that the Niners don't typically have a problem moving on from. I mean, I feel like there's only one third round pick that's still on this team right now, and that's Fred Warner. But I'm not gonna. I don't know off the top of my head, but they don't really hold on to these third round picks if they don't pan out. So
Right.
we'll see what happens. They usually draft running backs there, and those running backs end up on a different team at some point. Now, I want to get your thoughts on who should the 49ers re-sign. So that means pending free agents going into the 2025 season that are off the 49ers. And so if you can give me your top 3 that you feel like they should re-sign, just I would be that would be great. Also, they did re-sign Ben Barch, offensive lineman Ben Barch, played in 3 games with the 49ers, filled in for Aaron Banks, had a pretty successful, 3-game stand, got injured, ended up on the IR. They signed him, and I got the deals per David Lombardi. His contract deals have emerged. He will receive $1.03 million fully guaranteed and only have a cap hit of $1.198 million. So, Mose, this sounds like a bargain deal for the San Francisco 49ers on the offensive line. Everybody was asking the Niners to address the offensive line, and they went with the guy that they saw play pretty daggone well in your system. So let me get your thoughts on Ben Barch, and then give me 3 other 49er players you feel like they should resign.
Um, I think Ben Barch is a security blanket. And I think we're talking about, who are we going to re-sign? Who are we going to bring back? If we can't strike a deal with Aaron Banks, I think Ben Barch lives in that left guard spot for a little bit until we can figure that out, or unless we draft someone and whether we get somebody in the first, second, or third round, a rookie come in similar to Dominic Clooney and just blow the doors off that thing and take that starting job. I think he's a security blanket for that. He's a veteran. He's not somebody that's going to move the needle. He's not somebody who's an all pro, a consistent pro bowler. But he's been in the league. He understands the system. And he's somebody who can hold the fort down. And I mean, we hate it as fans. I want an offensive line that looks like the Philadelphia Eagles. I want an
Yeah,
offensive line
or the Detroit
that
Lions. Yeah,
across all 5 positions can move the line of scrimmage and punch the defensive line in the mouth. Kyle Shanahan doesn't feel like he needs that. He feels like he needs serviceable pieces who can do what he's asking them to do. And if he feels like Ben Barch is that guy, then we'll have to see that. But I think he's already been on the team. He's on a cheap veteran contract. So I'm not surprised by or upset by that move at all. If we're looking at 3 Niners players who I want us to resign, I think the first I'm going to go with is J.P. Mason. I know he's a restricted free agent, but I think we need to get a deal done. We've had, a lot of good running backs over the past 5-6 years. But I think what he was able to do with Christian McCaffrey out and, maintain that high level of performance, I don't think there is any reason in the world for us to not bring him back. So I personally, I want us to go get JP Mason. My second guy, we just talked about it. It really will depend on where we go in the draft. Some other free agents that's out there. Now, there's a guy coming out of Miami. If we can find a way to swing him, I don't think we'll have the cap space for it. But if we don't go that route, then I want to bring Huff back. I want to give Huff another opportunity in this defense. Under Robert Saleh now, I want to give him another opportunity in this defense to be 100% healthy and play free and fly around and see what that does. And I think, as I mentioned before, that we get a 2-for-1 with that. If we can bring back Huff, if he can stay healthy and, regain the form that we've seen him play in previously, then maybe that upgrades the play of Jair Brown. And now we have 3 safeties in Huff, Jair, and Malik Mustafa that are interchangeable that we can do a lot with. And giving Robert Saleh that type of ammo in the secondary, I think would be really, really dangerous for our division in the league. And then the third one's going to be a really, really obvious one. A lot of people, from what I hear, is it's a lot of doom and gloom. We may not have the money for it. You might want to test free agency. But I think bringing back Dre Greenlaw, honestly, again, we talk about chemistry. The chemistry that him and Fred Warner have is, the best that I've seen from any linebacker duo in a very, very long time. Having that type of energy, having that type of effort on the defense, uh, is something that can't be replaced. So I think those would be my three: J.P. Mason, Huff, and Dre.
I like the three guys. I will say I agree. I do want to have a little conversation about the three that you chose, because I feel like there's some flags there, right? There's some red flags, especially when you're talking about injuries. You gave me a lot of the good, positive stuff, that what these guys do, their impact on the football field. I agree with all that. There's never going to be another linebacker tandem like Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw. Like it's just not. You know what I mean? But let's start with the first one. You talk about JP Mason. You know, I'm usually all in on that. Like, I love me some JP Mason. Like I love him, but he is restricted. I feel like the Niners are going to look to keep him as a bargain. If they do offer him a deal, it's not going to be something that if I'm Jordan P. Mason, I wouldn't want to sign with the 49ers. I want to become a free agent. I feel like there are teams out there that will want to pay him. But see, the Niners play a game. He's restricted for a reason. He went undrafted, all that good stuff, right, for the Niners so that he can be a bargain. If Christian McCaffrey is back, I don't really see him getting the opportunity that he got last year to kind of like show and prove himself. And this draft is deep at the running back spot. And so I think that hurts him a little bit as far as what the Niners may want to do with him. Do they want him? For sure. I don't think his injury was anything significant, but do you feel like with the running back draft class being so deep, and I'm talking you could pick your poison, Mose, at what style of running back you want? Do you want the Mason? Go get an Ollie Gordon II out of Oklahoma State. Do you want another Christian McCaffrey? Go get a Caleb Johnson out of Iowa. Like, what do you want? Like, it's deep, Mose.
I mean, you bring up a great point, and this is part of the reason why I love this time of year, because you can get a guy on a rookie contract, and you got him inked for 4 years. You know, the guys that you mentioned. I'm a big fan of Omarion Hampton. Do I think
Oh my
we'll get
gosh,
him?
North
Maybe
Carolina.
not.
Oh,
I'm a
he's
big fan of Omarion
you,
Hampton.
he's my running back one, and I know Gene T is the guy. I get it, but Amarion Hampton is my running back one. Best
Yeah,
pass catching running back
that
in this
size,
draft.
that speed,
Size,
pass
speed.
catching. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Omarion Hampton is insane. I love. Shout out to my sis Peachy. I love both the Ohio State guys. Quinshon
Oh man,
Judkins is my
I I prefer
dude.
Henderson
Travion
though.
Henderson is crazy.
Yeah,
Like
I prefer Henderson.
either one I'm cool with. So like
Does wait? I gotta ask you this: does Henderson give you Elijah Mitchell vibes? The speed, the
yes,
quick twitch, the
yes,
outside zone, the
yes.
wiggle, the miss. Oh my gosh! I thought it was
And
just me.
and I mean maybe it's how he looked in the Ohio State pads. He gives me Elijah Mitchell, but a little bit bigger.
Oh yeah. He's bigger in size, but he still has the speed and the
But he still
moves.
has the speed and the
Mm-hmm.
move. So it's like when I think about Elijah Mitchell and I think about what we're talking about, injuries and things like that, would I love a JP Mason? Yes. But if we could get a Travion Henderson and have the durability with the speed as a backup to CMC, I think it's a no-brainer. So yes, you're right. The areas that are deep in this draft class, running back is one of them. That does hurt JP Mason. He's restricted. So, a lot of teams aren't going to want to deal with that and falling in love with him and offering him a deal and the 49ers matching and then now their plan A is out the window.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's going to keep teams away from him. Um, I mean, all it takes is one, but I think you make a valid point. So with JP, it's 50-50. Does he find that one team, that gives him the bag that he's looking for that the 49ers aren't willing to match? And are the 49ers willing to stick to their guns and, take one of these backs that they find in the draft? Because as you've seen, we can get a back from anywhere, plug them into the system, and they'll do a good job.
which is what they've been doing because running backs seem to typically get injured, banged up in this 49ers offense, which is why, A, you want to address this offensive line and get the solid offensive line for run blocking and pass protection. I totally dig
Yes.
it. Totally dig it. Let's talk about Talanoa Hufanga really quickly. I feel now I don't really I like the safeties in this class. I don't love the safeties in this draft class. There are some that stand out. I feel like I got 10 that I feel like will stand out. But who will be a good fit for Robert Saleh? I really feel like they need that deep safety, that ball hawk guy, and I just feel like we don't have that guy. Are you concerned though with Hufunga and returning? I feel like coming off the injury, first year off that ACL, do you think the Niners are gonna go that route and offer him a deal? Or do you think he'll really get picked up from somebody that knows him very well, that has a lot more money than the San Francisco 49ers? I could see him being some type of a box safety over in Houston, maybe in Washington. Like, I just feel like there are teams that really know him, know what he can do. Like, you really think the Niners are going to offer him a substantial deal in free agency? He's a former All Pro. He's going to request a little bit more money than some of these other guys out there.
Yeah, he's going to request a little bit more money, but I think ultimately he's going to have to wait and see what happens with Javon Holland. I think Javon Holland is going to be that first domino that falls. And listen, I know we're in the real world. I know we're not playing fantasy football or Madden, but if it was me, I'm biased because I'm a huge fan of Javon Holland, but I would see what it would cost to bring
Yeah,
Javon Holland to San
you have
Francisco.
to.
But you have to at least pick
You
up the
have
phone and
to.
make the call and see what the tag is going to be on that. But I think that's going to be the first domino that falls, and he's not going to get anywhere near what Javon Holland is going to get. The injuries play a huge factor. You know, even after coming off the ACL, he had the wrist that made him miss a lot of time this past season. So he's going to have to sign a team friendly deal. You know, if he's not getting a lot of offers, maybe he signs a 1 year prove it deal to stay with us under Robert Saleh and then try to hit free agency again next year. I think that would be the best possible scenario for the 49ers.
Mhm.
If that doesn't happen, you're absolutely right. I agree with you 1000%. I like the safety class. I'm not in love with safety class. You said you have about 10. I think I might be at one, two, three, six guys. I might be
Mhm.
at six, maybe seven. Um, that I like. I'm a huge fan of Andrew McCuber from Texas. That's my
He's my
dude.
number. Yeah, he's like he's my number 3 on my
Mhm.
board. So it's Xavier Watts because I said I want the ball hawk, so I'm going after the guy
Yes,
led the led
yes,
college and freaking interceptions. But then there's something about Nick Imanwari that I love, like
yes.
the size and the speed. I don't think you're gonna find a big 6'3" that can run a 4.3 that can play
Mm-mm.
safety the way like that's the Kyle Hamilton guy we need. Like we if that's who we need. That's who I want. You know what I mean? I know we're not going to
Yeah,
probably be in the draft position to get him, but that's who I want. And then there's Makuba, and then there's Billy Bowman Jr. from Oklahoma. I like Jonas Sanker from Virginia. So there's some guys. That's just 5 off the top of the dome, but I got my top 10. You know what I mean? Like that. I feel
yeah.
like could fit here and do some things, and they're different from the type of safeties that we have. I was specific in who I wanted, right? I don't want just the dangerous guys. Like Makuba's the most dangerous of the safeties. He's the most versatile. He'll hit you and hit you. I mean, he plays like he's about to kill you every single week. Like
Every
that's how
single time.
he's violent. That's what I'm trying to say. Those Texas
Yes,
boys are violent because Jade Barron is violent too. Now that I think about
yes,
it,
he
the
is.
cornerback,
Yes,
like
he is.
that's so crazy, bro. That's so crazy. Let's end this on the Dre Greenlaw because out of the 3 players, this is my number 1. And I'm not saying it because it's Dre Greenlaw. I'm saying it because he makes the most impact on the San Francisco 49ers defense. He is the impact of the San Francisco 49ers defense. And I don't know how you walk away from that. Like I know he has he has an injury history. I totally get it, but he is that dominant when it comes to the San Francisco 49ers. I'm hoping And I'm sorry, Dre. I'm selfish as a mother freaker. I'm hoping that the rest of the teams in the NFL be like, nah, that can stay too injured. Right? That's what I'm hoping. So that then the Niners could be like, yeah, man, just come on back home. Here's a 2-year deal, 3-year deal. Boom, 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 boom. That's what I'm hoping. Now, I do understand that Greenlaw's probably going to test free agency, bro. And I do feel like if John Lynch, and he spoke about Dre Greenlaw, we could talk about it. If John Lynch allows Dre Greenlaw to test free agency, he's good as gone.
He's gone. He's gone. If he allows him to walk out the door, that's like you in a relationship, and whether man to woman or woman to man, if you say, I'm walking out that door, and if I walk out that door, I'm not coming back, and you as the other person in the partner relationship, you hear that and you don't respond and you let them walk out that door, it's going to be very, very hard, if not damn near impossible, for you to get that person back. So having him test the market, having him go to these other organizations, get wined and dined and all of this type of stuff, have him be able to express, I'm healthy, I'm good to go, I'm ready to compete. Somebody's going to give him the contract that he's looking for, if not close.
Bro,
and when they do that, are we going to be able to match it? I don't think so.
I think we can. I don't think we want to. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like with the cap going up and the Niners restructuring some guys, I think they can match it. The question is, will they match it? Or will they beat it?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the question. But I think the issue, not to cut you off, I think the issue is it comes down to what Dre wants. He's never been a free agent.
Yeah.
And I know when you become a free agent, it's literally like, I'm free. Praise the Lord, I'm free. I can kind of go and do my thing. Like, you know what I mean? And it's nothing against San Francisco. It's nothing against the organization. It's just he got his pay. He's free. Like, and so I'm hoping that the city, the team, the organization made enough impact on him to where he may want to return, you know, but if you got to prepare for life after Dre Greenlaw. And I'm just curious to know, I like D Winters, but he's still developing for me. Is there anybody right now in college off the top of Mo's dome that you feel can be an impact player? I got my guy, but I want to know who Mo's guy is, because the linebackers and the defensive linemen are going today. And I feel like this is the day the 49ers find their Dre Greenlaw 2.0.
So 3 guys that I love are probably not going to be there. Maybe one of them will be there in our second round, but are we going to go linebacker with our second round pick? Is possible. If not, I think a guy might slip into the third round. And I really like Barrett Carter from Clemson.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting. I'm interested. I mean, he hopefully today he'll grow on me. I've watched film. He can move sideline to sideline, but he's Quan Alexander to me. Like, you know what I mean? He's speed, sideline to sideline. What is it that you love about this kid from Clemson?
I think 1 for me is the speed, and 2 for me, it's the impact that he makes when he tackles and the angles that he takes.
Okay,
he takes really good angles.
There it is. And I seen that. Okay.
We've struggled with players on this defense taking bad angles and tackling.
I see.
What I like
that's
about Barrett Carter is
that's on tape.
He takes really good angles and tackling. Yeah. Listen, I love Jalen Walker. He's probably going top 10, top 15. Jahad Campbell, likely going to be our first round pick. I like the kid, Carson Schweizinger.
I keep telling people about this boy. They not. First of all, why am I getting excited? First of all, this is my favorite time of the year. Mose knows that this is Breezy's favorite time of the year. Let me tell you about this guy. First of all, he was a walk-on. That's number 1. And he wasn't even a walk-on at UCLA. He was a walk-on prior to getting to UCLA. So he didn't walk on once. He walked on twice. He went from no tackles in one season to leading the third leading tackler in NCAA football. He was the number one leading tackle in Big Ten football. And how is nobody talking about this? Oh, he's a coverage linebacker too, by the way. I
Yes,
don't get it.
off the ball, his instincts are amazing. He reads, he reacts. When they talk about if you see it, shoot your gun. He shoots his gun. He does not keep his finger off the trigger. So if we have an opportunity to get somebody like him, that's very different than what we've seen from the
Uh-huh.
linebackers that we've typically drafted. But I think just the way he plays the game, the faithful are gonna fall in love with him.
I
And he's at UCLA, so he's already
He's
in the
right there. He's
general
just down the
vicinity.
street. Yeah, down
Yep.
the street. Bro, when I put on his tape, first of all, I'm like, why is he in the draft pool? Like why is he, you know what I'm saying? And then I put on some of his film and I'm like, yo, this kid is always around the ball, whether it's in the air or in it. Who is he? I can't even say his last name. I feel like I'm saying Nicole Schwizz's brother's name. Like, you know what I'm saying? A little
Don't you
music
wish your
reference out there.
girlfriend
Yes,
was
sir.
hot like
Like
me?
me. Hey, don't. Like, but I'm saying, bro, like this, like I think at the combine, he is going to rise. And his
Yeah,
stock is going to rise. And there's a
yeah.
possibility he's gonna so my favorite my linebacker one is Jahad Campbell. That is the green law. That's the weak side linebacker, the off ball guy. You can set him up to blitz. He can cover. He can sideline. The speed is there, and he has the frame. I don't know about you, but I miss the linebacker frame. I miss
Hmm.
that low to ground gravity, center of gravity. I miss that. The strong legs, up top build. I miss that. Big neck. I'm sorry if I'm looking
Yeah.
at all this, but this is what you got to do. Okay, I miss that. And so think of Patrick Willis. He fits that mold.
Yes.
I
Patrick
miss it.
Willis. I miss the Brian Urlacher types.
Yeah, because, oh man,
The,
even Luke Kinkley was a bigger
yeah,
linebacker. He was
yeah.
smart, but even he was big, like the build. That's Jahad Campbell. He's the perfect chiseled form of what linebackers are. Fred Warner is the new modern age linebacker, and now you see teams trying to get those safety hybrid linebackers like Fred.
Hmm.
There's only one Fred, guys. I hate to tell you, and he's a 49er. It's only one Fred. It's only one Fred. But there's tons of linebackers out there that you could look for. I see a lot of people talk about Chris Paul Jr. No relation to Chris Paul, right? That's not his
No,
son. Okay, I just care
no.
because he's the junior. Like I'm just asking. I was just asking. He's gonna test probably really well at the combine. I'm hoping these guys are gonna run. I think the fastest linebacker. Nobody's talking about this kid, and he's more of a coverage linebacker. So he's weak side. Jeffrey Bossa from Oregon. Just wanted to get your take on if you got a chance to look him up or watch any film on Jeffrey Bossa from Oregon.
I haven't. I haven't. I was going through some Oregon tape. I haven't taken a look at Jeffrey Bossa yet. So I am excited to see him today and see what he's going to do. 6'1", 226.
He's gonna run
Uh,
through the roof,
you know,
bro.
he's gonna run fast. Oregon is known for speed, so he's gonna run fast. So I'm excited to see what he does.
Same here, man. Mose, John Lynch spoke about several other players. Deebo Samuel's on his way out. He said that he was willing. He basically they grant Deebo the trade requests, all that type of stuff, and he wants to help Deebo get his chance at getting a fresh start. Now we do know that is the Niners' way. When they like you, they're trying to set you up for success on your next chapter. When they don't like you, they can give two flying fucks what happens to you on your way out. What do you think what do you think that situation is going to succumb to? And is there any possibility that Debo returns for the last year on his deal? Or do you think they might extend him?
Here's the thing: a lot of chatter, around league circles, especially this week, where folks are, in one central area and conversations are being had. Obviously, Debo wants out. Obviously, the 49ers are willing to acquiesce to that request. But the timeline for that is very, very short because of his roster bonus that's due on March 22nd. And so if we don't want to pay that roster bonus that's due on the 22nd, we have to decide, is there a trade partner, or are we just going to release him, not get any compensation, and just have him be a free agent and he can test the market and go wherever, he chooses that he wants to go. Business wise, yes, I know you like Deebo. I know you want to set him up for success, but I'm not in the business of giving away assets for free.
Mm-hmm.
But when we're talking about business, if I'm selling something and ain't nobody buying it,
Amen.
if I'm selling something and ain't nobody buying it, and particularly, you can't force anybody to make it. Hey, I want to trade Deebo to you. Give me this. You can't force anybody to make a trade.
Good
So if
point.
teams are going to call the 49ers bluff and stand pat and not offer anything and wait until March 22nd, which is before the draft, which means they don't have to give up draft capital, what can we do? And then now, March 20th, March 21st, we're going to have a serious conversation. Do we release Deebo and let him test the free agency and don't get anything for him? Or are we going to keep him on the roster for another year and pay the roster bonus and he's going to count towards our cap? Honestly, I'd play another year. I'd
Really?
rather eat the $15 million and have him play and see if we can get something out of him than letting them test the free agency market. Because I don't know. I've been looking at it and I can't remember off the top. So if you have the numbers, that would be great.
Mm-hmm.
By cutting him, I know we don't pay that $15 million roster bonus, but I don't know
Yeah, if
if
you
there's
cut
much of
him,
a
you hit.
benefit on the cap.
Well, if you cut him before that date, you're hit with that dead cap of that $31 million dead cap money. And
Yeah.
so that's why the Niners have to make this decision. It's more them having to pay a big ass bill. Like, you know what I'm saying? Now, what you can do is you can release him with the post June 1st designation, like we're going to do Javon Hargrave and like we did Eric Armstead last year. Like, and so that's the situation we're in. I think the Niners asked Deebo to take a pay cut. He was like, hell no. And that's when he asked to be traded. Like, yeah, I'm ready to go. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm not mad at Deebo for that. I know a lot of fans are probably pissed off, but I get it. Like, Deebo has been asked to do a lot, and he didn't produce much last year. And, just think about what they've asked Deebo to do. Play running back, play wide receiver, get one pay. Like, that's tough. And he did it.
And add into his roles and responsibilities now, special
Kick
teams.
return, special teams, right? And so but he did it, and he didn't do it with an attitude. He didn't do it. So I commend him for that. The issue with Deebo is he just couldn't really get right last year, bro. And it's not just on him. Like, I think people wanted Deebo to be the all-star. Football don't work like that. Like, football doesn't work. Like, there's been games. I mean, you look at the wide receivers in the league last year, a lot of them were struggling, but Deebo's not a wide receiver like an AJ Brown who was having a slump season until he said, throw me the damn ball. Like, literally, and so that's not Deebo. And then when Deebo did make those comments, he didn't produce. So Deebo really put his foot in his mouth several times, but then he had to deal with the health issues all last year. It was just a down year for Deebo Samuel. I kind of like what you're saying about giving him, let him come, just play that one last year, but I don't think he has any guarantees, and I think that is the issue, right? And so when you look at maybe two players that don't have guarantees, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel. If you can extend one, who would you extend?
Kittle.
There you go. And so Deebo knows that. Deebo knows he's expendable. I think that's what it is. And so it's like, hey man, trade me. Let me find, and they're like, okay, we'll go find somebody we could trade you to, and we'll give it a shot. We'll think about it. There's a possibility that it doesn't happen, but Deebo knows what situation the Niners are in financially. He knows, and so he's trying to jump ahead of the game and kind of force them to release him so he can become free. I'm telling you, it's nothing like getting them free papers, man. When you become a free agent, you can renegotiate, you can set up a new deal, you can go somewhere you like. You know what I mean? It's a lot that goes into it. I do want to get to these super chat contributions because they coming in. Sean has two super chat contributions. Sean says, Brown traded or switched to linebacker. Ufunka, not Ufa, gone. Lynch dropping the pants. BA is gone. We're going to talk about that. BA isn't worth it. He was average before the injury, not a star. I think the organization is removing Kyle's power. Interesting. Let's talk about this. Brown traded or switched to linebacker. We talk about Jair Brown. What do you think about that? I don't think he will play linebacker well. I like everybody. You talked about angles from Barrett Carter, and Jair Brown takes the worst angles, and he doesn't tackle well. That was my biggest issue. My biggest issue with Jair Brown was he was trying to tackle with his head looking down to the
Yeah,
ground
yeah.
like this. You're missing every single time. And the craziest one was the Buffalo game. I'm not blaming that on the snow. You can't miss James Cook. He was gone.
You can't miss that. You can't miss that. Yeah, I don't. One, I don't think he has the size. Two, I don't think he has the skill set. Like you said, he takes the worst angles. I think he's better when he can see everything in front of him, and he's a ball hawk and he can react.
Play him deep. He doesn't have the
So
speed, but you got to play him deep.
gotta play him. Yeah, so I wouldn't switch him to linebacker. No.
Yeah. Ufunga gone.
I mean,
Possibly.
we talked about it as possible. I think, if the Niners want to go big or go home, they can go and see what it takes to bring Javon Holland back to the West Coast. Or there are some safeties in this draft class. We hit on Malik Mustafa last year. Maybe we hit on another young guy this year. So it's definitely possible. I would say right now it's probably 50-50.
They asked Lynch about Brandon Aiyuk's recovery. He said he was recovering well. But they asked also about teams poking around for him. Did you get a chance to hear what he said about teams poking around about for BA? And do you feel like they would move BA? I don't see how they can move BA. You want to talk about a contract hit. Now you're talking $40 million. So you went from $30 million on Deebo to a $40 million dead cap contract hit for Brandon Aiyuk because where he is in his contract. What are your thoughts on that? Is he worth it? I feel like he's worth it. I mean, and that I wanted to get to that about Deebo's play down too. Like you lost your number one wide receiver, so you lose your X. Juwan Jennings, as great as he played, isn't the Niners' X. He played well in the X role, but he wasn't Brandon Aiyuk in the X role. And Brandon Aiyuk forces defenses to play a little differently than Juwan Jennings does, and so Deebo struggled, but. That's another story. What are your thoughts on Brandon Aiyuk not being a star?
Yeah, I think he was on his way to being a star. I think he definitely kind of soured people on his star capabilities with his holdout and the way he just went about it. And then, some of the things throughout the season, wearing the wrong shirts to practice, getting upset that Kyle called him out about it, and kind of having like a childlike hissy fit when he took them off. So he didn't do anything to help the diva representation that wide receivers have. But I think his play was on his way to being that. Moving on from BA and trading him, I mean, we've seen teams take higher cap hits from one player. I think, what was it, when Stafford was traded, the Lions had like a $98 million cap hit or something crazy like that. Like,
yeah, but to be fair, that's a quarterback. That changes the conversation, right?
It does.
And Stafford wasn't injured.
Right. So, I mean, here's the thing. I would only do it, and the draft is never really, we're going to draft a guy to replace a guy. Sometimes it is.
Correct.
Most of the time it's best player available, position of need.
That's correct.
We're just not in the position of always drafting to replace. But if we're gonna move on from Deebo, if we're gonna move on from BA, hypothetically, that's $70 million across two players in dead money hit. I would only be okay with that if we drafted Teteroa McMillan or Luther Burden.
Or Luther Burden in the third, right? Yeah,
I would only be okay if we got one of those.
And then the
guys.
fan base will go crazy because now you're drafting a wide receiver in round one and you don't address the offensive line. See how this doesn't make sense?
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And a lot of people are going to point to, well, that's why they drafted Ricky Pearsall last year. And I like Ricky. I think the way his season started was awful. I don't wish that on anybody. And we can talk about that on a later show. Like, it was a down year for the 49ers on the field, but all the shit that happened off the field,
it was crazy, man.
Everybody across the team starting with that, absolutely nuts.
I think the 49ers came into the season beat up. I mean, even Deebo talked about it. Like, listen, man, and not beat up just physically. I'm talking mentally. I'm talking
Mentally.
about losing that Super Bowl effed the Niners up because it's how they lost again, right?
Yeah.
And so people getting mad that Deebo got on Jake Moody. Don't they forget he missed the kick in the field in the Super Bowl. We talk about a chance where he could have won the game and it didn't have to go into overtime, missing the extra point. Let's just have a conversation. So when the captain goes and speaks his mind, now Deebo's the bad guy. I don't want to do this about Deebo. I think people have amnesia. Like, you don't want Jake Moody here. You don't want Deebo here. Like what is it? He was holding Jake accountable. He was missing too much. And many times Deebo has had his opportunities to win the Super Bowl. It wasn't because of Deebo. Kicker missed. Now, did Deebo perform well in that Super Bowl? No. He was targeted 8 times. He only had 3 receptions. I get it. But 5 of those receptions were well defended by an all-pro guy, and 3 of those joints were underthrown balls by Brock Purdy. But nobody wants to have that conversation but me. So I talk to myself because there is no one to talk to.
And I think what frustrates me about that is people always forget after the fact that we went up against a premier defensive play caller. Steve Spagnuolo does what he does best, and he eliminates your threat. The Eagles were able to win, but how were they able to win? They went into that game, the Chiefs went into that game and said, Saquon Barkley does not beat us. The way he beat the Rams, the way he beat the Commanders,
they took
Saquon
that out.
Barkley is not going to beat us. So if anybody's going to beat us, it's going to be Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts stepped up to the plate, and he hit a grand slam, and he beat them.
And he beat him.
Spagnuolo took Saquon out of the equation.
Everybody saw it.
And he did that with us against Deebo. He was like, yes, CMC is good. We can stop the run. Yeah, we know they have BA and Jennings, and we'll let them do what they do. Stop him.
But to go back to that Super Bowl, the teams were built differently. So, like, when you look at the Niners, the Chiefs really weren't stopping the Niners. We were running the ball on them motherfrickers. Christian McCaffrey fumbles the ball. Nobody wants to have that conversation either. I think we get amnesia on certain players. I get it. No, I don't. But that's why I'm here. He fumbles the ball. The whole momentum shifts. Luckily, we forced a fumble and got the ball back. McCole Harmon fumbles the ball, so no points come out of that situation. But the Chiefs really didn't do much to stop the Niners. They couldn't really game plan because they had too many things to game plan for. I think when you look at the Eagles, stop the run. Like, take away Saquon Barkley. But when you look at the Niners, you can stop Christian McCaffrey, but then you got to deal with Deebo. Then you got to deal with Brandon Aiyuk. Then you got to deal with George Kittle. Then you got it was different. And so we just couldn't capitalize when we needed to capitalize. Like, the Niners they were stagnant on offense. Defense runs out of gas just like normal. And that's why I'm glad Salah's back. Because I think Salah being back, that's the first thing that changes. It's all gas, no brakes. There's no more running out of gas defensively. John Lynch said that we need to get younger. And he's not talking offensively. He needs players that can fly around to the ball at every given snap. I guarantee you this draft, they're going to get players that can be starters on another team and great-ass depth on the San Francisco 49ers. I can guarantee it.
Yes, sir.
I can guarantee it. Because every year, we run out of gas. Every year. And even in that first time when Salah was the defensive coordinator in the Super Bowl, that was a weird one. Because if Jimmy Ward doesn't botch his coverage and get spun around, that's a PBU.
Yes, it is.
And Patrick Mahomes doesn't make it a miraculous play, and we're walking off into the sunset. I'm telling you, that wasn't gas. Anyway, That's a whole nother conversation. Mose, we got a few minutes left. We got about 10 minutes left. Let's get to this combine, man, because it is about to go down. 3 p.m. Eastern time. You're going to get the defensive linemen. You're going to get the linebackers. We're going to preview Mose. Before we talk a little bit about these specific positions, who are your top 3 players, period, that you feel are going to test well and their stocks are going to rise? And breaking news, Mike Green will not participate in any of the combine drills. I think I have the injury. I know. He doesn't have to though. Listen. Let me just tell, due to hamstring tightness. Okay, hamstring tightness. Now listen. I knew this was coming because I watched him at the Senior Bowl. That cat gave you 2 days of knocking niggas off and knock niggas out. Like, that's what he did. Like that, and then it was done. And he showed up in the Senior Bowl. You know what I respect about Mike Green, bro? And for those that feel like, I understand there's some allegations going on out there about him, but that motherfucker answered those questions. And he said, whatever you want to ask me, I got the answers. And the fact that his agent even allowed him to talk about these sexual allegations that are going to sexual assault allegations, I don't know if that's genius or gangster. Like, obviously, they both start with a G. But the fact that the fact that he did it, I was like, yo, how can you not like this guy? Like, if he is, those go away, he's the man. Like, hands down, he's the man.
Yeah. I would have been excited to see him. But to answer your question, who do I think is going to test well? Just overall, we're in this group, defensive linemen, linebackers. I hope he's not one of the players that sits out. James Pierce Jr. from Tennessee.
He's my number 3 edge.
This kid is insane, and so I want to see how he tests. I think if he tests well, he's going to be in that conversation with Mike Green as, one of the first edge. I know there's obviously Abdul Carter is the consensus number 1 right now, but I think James Pierce is going to put his name in that big 3 of Abdul Carter, James Pierce, Mike Green as the top edge rushers to come off the board. So I'm excited to see how he tests. My number 2 guy is not in this group. We talked about him a little bit earlier. Teteroa McMillan, wide receiver out of Arizona, 6'5", 215. Apparently, he's going to run in the 4.3s. I'm hearing comps of Mike Evans. I heard a few people say Calvin Johnson. I don't know if I would go that far, but I'm excited to see how he tests.
Wait a minute. You think Tet is going to run in the 4.3s?
I didn't say that. I said
no. I meant that. No, I know, but I'm asking you what you think, because that's a big kid. Like that.
Yeah, I don't think if he runs in the 4.3s,
4.5, maybe sub 4.5, maybe you get a 4.4,
4.48, 4.49.
You get where I'm going with this? Maybe. Yeah.
But listen, the word around town.
No. Listen, if he do that, he wide receiver 1.
You know what they say about the word around town, but
Most, if he runs a 4.3, 4.4, he's the first receiver off the board. Like, the Patriots are going to be like, oh shoot.
Oh yeah, we can't go tackle. We got to give Drake May this guy. Like,
bro,
we would love to go tackle, but that's a very deep class. There's
hold
not
on,
a
media.
lot of.
We're not underestimating him. I'm just looking at his size, and I'm not saying big guys can't run fast. He just looks a little bit more stiff. Like he just doesn't look like he can run straight line speed that way.
Yeah, he when he's on the field, he looks faster than he would test.
Thank you.
He's very fluid. He has like a gazelle-like stride. That doesn't always translate into 4.3 speed. So if he runs it, that'll be great for him. I think if he runs 4.5s or high 4.4s, I don't think anybody will be upset about it.
He's still the best receiver to me, not named Travis Hunter. So, and like, just pure receiver. You want the X guy? That's the number. That's the guy. Mm-hmm. So I like Ted. I like T-Mac.
The last guy, I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I'm gonna be a little bit of a homer. But there's no way that I could talk about guys that are going to perform well at the combine And not mention my little brother, man. This is exciting time for me as someone who's
Oh
watched the
my God,
combine
that's your
for
brother? I
yeah
didn't put it together. Cam?
Cam Horsley. Yeah, that's my little brother. Yeah, man. Defensive tackle, played 5 years at Boston College. 4 years he was under Jeff Hafley. His last year he was under Bill O'Brien. He performed well at the East-West Shrine. He was unblockable, high motor all week, played well in the actual game, pushed the pocket, got the quarterback off his spot, recovered a fumble. So he did really, really well there. And so now, in a couple of minutes, we'll see him, run his 40 and do some on-field drills. So I'm excited for him, man. He's a very, very humble, very quiet young man. But when he gets onto that field and when he starts playing, he turns into a different animal. You put on the tape, and he's drawing those double teams. He got some good time, some good minutes, some good reps, even as a freshman. And just every year he's been building, and now he's at the point where he's about to get drafted. So I'm excited to see him, and I know that he's going to test well today.
Yeah, man. You got some dogs up there on this list, man. You got some dogs on this list. I'm excited to see who's going to go out there, run, jump. The drills. I'm all for the drills. The figure 8 drill for the defensive lineman. I'm all for it. Can't wait to see him run. My favorite drill, because I'm all about seeing how agile these guys are. The 3-cone drill. Like, that is what I need to see, especially from the defensive ends, right? Because when you look at Nick Bosa, he wasn't super fast in the 40, right? I think he ran like a 4.6 something, but his 3-cone drill was damn near 7. And so you knew he was going to be good outside on the edge. And so I'm excited to see that. I do want to see how fast some of these big guys can run, though. I'm not going to lie. I don't believe my man from Michigan is going to run. I think he has hamstring issues, so he's not going to run today.
Which one? Grant. You got 2 of them.
Big Kenneth Grant. So
okay.
I don't expect Mason Graham to test well because he's just not. He's a football player. I'll leave it at that. Like, I don't know if that makes any sense.
Hey, listen.
You put on the pads, he's the most dominant player in the football field.
you look at some students. They have good grades, but they may not be great test takers. So he might not be a great test taker.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
But you put him in the game, he's moving somebody.
Oh, he's moving mountains. Yeah. So but if he does test well, good God, now he's gonna give Abdul Carter a run for the money. Hypothetically, question. Got to ask you this because if Abdul Carter falls to number 11, I'm going to ask you one more time so you can hear me. If Abdul Carter drops the number 11, do you select him with the 11th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft?
This is how I know that no matter how much time I'm away, we are always connected. Because I thought about this question, and I did the research on this question. I remember another number 11 from Penn State when he came out in the draft.
Michael freaking Parsons.
And Michael Parsons, to me, was the best.
Do you know the history?
In that class.
Do you know the history about wearing number 11 at Penn State? Because you from that area. Do you know there's history about that?
Actually.
So the history, if you get to wear that, now you have to earn to wear number 11. It's an honor. You have to be like the best player on the field, off the field, like everything. And so it's a ritual now. And Abdul Carter, 1 year playing edge, got that number, and it's might be the best player in the NFL draft. But continue. I just wanted to know if you knew the history.
Yeah, so, listen. I thought in that year's draft, Micah was the best. And somehow, Micah fell to 12.
To the Dallas Cowboys.
He fell to 12.
Who picks after us this year? The Dallas Cowboys.
The Dallas Cowboys. So do I think it's possible that the Dallas Cowboys end up with Abdul Carter and Micah Parsons? Absolutely not, because if Abdul Carter is on the board at 11, the 49ers better run to the podium. I don't care what we need from an offensive line standpoint. I
Listen,
think if trades are made, if
listen.
the quarterbacks go,
I
if
could care less about trades or who. We could draft offensive lineman in the third round. That worked out for us last year, right?
yep,
I'm about that. I'm about that life. And Chris Foster kind of wants those guys. And I think I got it. It took me a minute to figure out why he likes to work with the not the top players. And it's because their work ethic is different. They gotta work harder to get where they need to get those
yeah,
contracts. And that's why I like Carson Swisher. Like I like because that's gonna be a work hard guy. Like he
yeah.
walked on. Now I think you need some good talent there. I like what they got in Dominic Pooney, but I can see him going offensive line a little bit later. I feel like the offensive line in this class is deep. You can get a big guard combo round 3, round 4. You can get a top 100 player round 3, round 4. You don't got to go for the Will Campbell. I love Armand Membao. That's the guy I want, but you can live without getting him if there's 3 players. If Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, and Mason Graham fall to 11 and them not one of the 3 picks, I'm not watching football this season. A matter of fact, I will watch it and I'll cover a different team. I'll cover the Jets, the stinking ass Jets. That's who I will cover.
2 more in there. If T Mac, if Tedero McMillan is on the board at 11,
I can't do a wide receiver this early, bro. I can't do a wide receiver that early. I can't.
If he runs, okay, I'll add another caveat. If he runs a 4.3.
Oh, then I'm drafting wide receiver at 11. I forgot that we had that conversation prior to what we saying.
If he runs a 4.3 and he's there at 11, you got to take him. And then also, too, this is a little bit different. I know what we normally do. We like to build in the trenches, all that kind of stuff like that. If your boy Will Johnson
Will Johnson.
11,
yeah. But I can see them not going that route. I know, so because here's the thing. 49er fans don't want any Michigan players. I get it. I'm going to need y'all to go back, though, and watch him play in 2023. Like, scrap 2024. Same thing with Colston Loveland. That's another pick that I like. Go back and watch him when he had J.J. McCarthy. Go back and watch him when he had a quarterback. Like last year, we didn't have a quarterback. We had 3 guys that said they were quarterbacks on the roster, and none of them could throw the ball past 3 yards. J.J. McCarthy was a guy that utilized Colston Loveland. I'm not saying I would draft him at 11, but I could see him going in the first round. If the Niners decide to trade back, get more top 100 picks, which is a possibility. But I could see us going cornerback there because now you get like that Sauce Gardner lockdown 6'2", 6'3", fat. And if he runs fast, I know he has the toe injury. I don't know if he's going to run, but if he runs fast,
no, he's not. He's not doing anything at the combine.
Okay, so pro day. So at this pro day,
yeah.
Okay, so if he runs a 4.3 at the pro day, 4.3,
no brainer. Got to take him.
It makes it
hard. Him with Hyena.
Oh my gosh! And don't forget about Renardo Green. I would keep them on the outsides, and I would put. Hey man, I know I'm paying you a lot of money, but you could just be the inside guy. And on certain downs, go to nickel. When they bring out the 3 wide receiver packages, that's what the Niners need to do.
Yeah. I mean, listen. People like, oh, I want a higher draft pick for I need to trade up. It get hectic when you in this top 12, top 15. There's a lot of options at play when you're picking at 11. So, I feel like, there are going to be parts of the fan base that are happy. There are going to be parts of the fan base that actually hate what we do in the draft.
Yes.
I think we do need to give it time and see what the plan for the player is within this particular scheme. Because at 11, we have a lot of really, really good options in this draft class.
When I tell you people listen to the stuff that we say on this show, I'm going to get myself, and I got a stopwatch. I think Miss Debbie got me a stopwatch a while back, like the old school joints. And I'm going to time myself in the 40-yard dash. I'm going to pray I don't fall.
4.9?
I think I could get a 4.9. I think I could get a 4.9, bro. I do. I think I could get a 4.9. I really do.
I mean,
but
4.9 territory is offensive lineman, and you are running back. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you got 4-9.
Yeah, but I'm not training. They're training. Like, you know what I mean? They're literally training. Like, they've dropped
Every
weight
day.
every day, right? Like me, but I think I could run under 5. That's what I'm saying. It might be a 499.99999, but I could get it under 5.
But it ain't a 5 on that.
It ain't a 5, dog. It ain't a 5, dog. It ain't a 5. Mose, man, it's great to have you here, man. I would love to try to do something as we kick up the draft. If we could do something like this during the day and you could jump on for 40 minutes to an hour, you know what I'm saying? That would be cool, man. I know everybody out there misses you. They love you. Mose, you are amazing. Keep up the great work, man. It's good to see you. It's good to hear from you. Guys, thank y'all so much for tuning into the show. The Combine's going to be kicking off real soon. You got most nose players right here who to watch out for. You've heard all of my guys. I can't wait. It's about to go down. They're going to be running. I got measurements coming into me as we speak. We're getting hand sizes, wingspans, all that good stuff. Believe it or not, that stuff matters. Pause. No pause, whatever, but it matters at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you hit that like button, everybody. We got a couple of super chats we want to get to before we jump off the show.
I miss Sean's jokes. I definitely miss Sean's jokes. Yeah, he trying to say that 4-9 is 4.9 hours.
Damn. Like, dang, Sean. I mean,
that's 10 yards an hour, Sean. That's
Sean,
disrespectful.
That's how fast you throw a spin kick, bro. It take you that long to wind that junk up. You know what I mean? Eddie G and the B-Talks, man. Thank you for the super chat and the contribution. What up, Faithful Mose in the building? Good to see you. Love you, bro. Told you, man. You were missed. You were definitely missed. Sean, last super chat contribution for him says, got you, B. You looking at another man's body. Listen, it's not that I'm looking. The specific characteristics that I feel like will make us better. Like, this is why John Lynch, first of all, this is why John Lynch went and got Malik Mustafa. They had a conversation. And from that point on, like, you saw Malik, you was looking at his abs. You know, I wasn't, but you was looking at his abs. Sean, you know you were. You texted me. You know what I mean? No problem. That's why he laughed. No problem. It happens when evaluating players. Glad Deebo is in shape. The shape of a peer. Damn. Wow. Listen, I need Deebo to kindly leave this franchise and go to another franchise and tear that shit up. Like just be dominant. Like, because I feel like that's what's gonna happen. And then the faithful gonna trash him because he couldn't do that with us, blah, 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 blah. So he's damned if he do. He's damned if he doesn't with the 49ers. But thank you guys for the super chat contribution. And Tanisha, one of the Breezy Bunch members, says, I believe that Jed, and I want to get your last take on this, I believe Jed is putting a cap on Kyle and John's spending. They've invested a lot of money on big contracts, and we still don't have another ring. I'm glad that I saw this comment because first, I want to know if you agree or disagree. Then I got a follow-up question.
I disagree.
Okay, so you don't got to explain it. You don't even got to explain it. I just wanted to know if you agreed or disagree. Because my next question is, how much they paying Brock Purdy this year? Because if so, that means Brock.
Listen, I think they want to get a deal done. I think they want to keep him. I think it's going to be anywhere between 48 and 52 million.
Okay, I'm north 50. I just am north of 50. But here's the good thing about that, though, Tanisha, because I know that a lot of us, a lot of the faithful, we're getting fed up with Kyle Shanahan because we still don't have another ring. So that is us all great. Once Brock signs the ink on that paper, I want that junk to be 59 million. I want it to be high because then, and only then, will the clock start ticking. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
That's when the clock will start ticking.
To me, we were able to spend money on big contracts because we had rookies. We had quarterbacks on rookie deals. We had Trey Lance. We had Brock Purdy. And even when we signed Jimmy Garoppolo, look at how much the cap has drastically increased when we signed Jimmy Garoppolo and made him the highest paid
highest
quarterback in
paid.
the league, that
Everybody
was
got paid after that.
$27 million a year.
And then everybody got paid right after that.
And so right now, whether it's Brock Purdy or anybody else, we would love to have a $27 million a year quarterback because that gives us more money elsewhere.
And
But
I
like you
believe
said,
that's
once
the
Brock signs
main
that
reason
contract,
why. I believe most that's the main reason why Deebo's out. That's a
Yeah.
big hit. They got to shave some of that money off. They can't
Gotta
trade
shave
Brandon
it.
Ayuk's contract. So I think that's the main reason why. But go ahead, continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, like you said, that clock starts ticking, right? That's when we see how this team, the front office, puts a team together with that particular cap constraint. And now I want to see how Kyle coaches.
Yeah. I think you get a different Kyle because now his job is on the line.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying, Tanisha? So, like, I'm hoping that Jed York isn't doing that. There's a possibility that he is, but I'm hoping that he's not because he's got to pay the quarterback. And the question is, Jed wants him here. John spoke about having him here. Kyle said that's my quarterback, and he plans to be that. Brock is going to be his quarterback as long as he continues coaching here. That's Kyle's mouth, right? And so now the question is, what they gonna pay him? And I'm hoping it's the high number because then that clock is really gonna start to tick. If it's a bargain deal, man, Kyle gonna be here for another 20 years.
Yeah.
Like if it's a bargain deal, Kyle gonna continue to find ways to say, well, Brock was a 7th round pick. That's his answer. I guarantee you he'll find a way. Kyle's good. I love everybody. I love Kyle. I love the coaching staff. I like the changes that they did to the coaching staff. I can't wait to see how Kyle's new regime looks to attack 2025 season. And believe it or not, it starts with the evaluation here. It started at the Senior Bowl a few weeks ago, but it really starts once free agency kicks in. Mose and I will definitely be bringing you some free agency content. So make sure you guys stay locked in here. Hit that like button. Sean says, I think he was wearing green at the Super Bowl. He's talking about Deebo Samuel as a prophetic statement that he was eating salads. Sean, y'all got to stop. Listen.
This is why Deebo want to leave.
Yeah, man. Y'all are crucial, man. Damn.
He don't feel welcome no more. He don't feel the love.
Dang, man. Ty, what's going on, baby? Shout out to everybody out there. Special shout out to the Breezy Bunch crew. All right, Breezy Bunch crew. I do see a question. I do like to kind of address a couple of questions, but this is the last one. Stovey, any of the top tackles at the Combine? Are you talking defensive tackles or offensive tackles? We do got to be specific, but are any of the top tackles? They haven't spoken to the offensive linemen as of yet because they aren't competing yet. That's 2 days from now, right? So today is defensive line, linebackers, tomorrow tight ends and DBs, and then you get your offensive linemen, running backs or something like that, and then quarterbacks, whatever. The quarterbacks, wide receivers, and running backs, I think, are on the last day. I'm sorry. So yeah, that's what you're gonna get. That's it. All right, Mose, any final thoughts before we jump off out of here, man?
No, man, just love and appreciate everybody. So glad to be back, to get back into the swing of things. Love talking football, love talking Niners, and most importantly, love being with my brother Breezy. So we definitely going to do this again.
All right, man. Thanks for tuning in. Hit that like button. If you're new watching, hit subscribe, all right? Feel free to become a member of the Breezy Bunch crew. Support the channel. We appreciate you. Till the next time, keep it faithful to the Bay.